Gotta love when that happens. Hopefully, yeah, looks like you can hear me now. Thank you, Papa, for letting me know, Papa Scorch. I was basically just saying, getting everything posted, letting people know I'm in here. I wanted to know what you guys in the chat thought about the race. It was a pretty exciting race, I think. I don't know. I wouldn't know if exciting is really the way to put it, but it was a good race. Hopefully next week's as good as it's supposed to be. But let me make sure I got because my headset's also acting funny right now. Um, this lovely program we use is just so undefeated. But anyways, yep, I got everything out. So let's go ahead and get right into this race. Denny Hamlin collects his 41st career win. Um, that is good racing, a little mundane, not too much action. Totally agree on that. That was not an easy win though for Denny Hamlin. He had the fastest car for sure, but he ended up getting a speeding penalty. Actually, Joe Gibbs Racing had some sort of issue with their pit road procedure where they had three drivers that sped and they didn't even know they were speeding. So ended up having that happening. And so Hamlin just worked his way pretty much almost exactly like what Ryan Blaney did last week. You could just tell Hamlin had a really fast Toyota this weekend and worked his way through the field, got back up by stage two within the top five, and eventually got the lead back and never really looked back from there. Chase Elliott ended up having the one of the fastest cars in the race towards the end, which definitely didn't start with one of the fastest cars, but I really like seeing that out of him. He was chasing down Mr. Hamlin until the very last lap. If there would have been 10 more laps, this could have been a nine, a much more happier left turn central here today with a nine victory. But still, all in all, Hamlin was definitely the most deserving driver throughout the day. Let me get if NASCAR will pull up its results here. It's only given me the Phoenix Raceway results. Go on now. I guess because it's not technically results yet, but Hamlin had the fastest lap of the race. He led 134. That's far and away the most laps led this week. And then you got William Byron and Christopher Bell led some laps as well. Larson kind of like he might be running away with it, like Bull predicted last week, but he ended up just finishing in seventh. Had a pit road issue that put him behind the eight ball and just wasn't able to get his car back up through the field in time. Looking at the results and also mentioning the stage winners, of course, William Byron won stage two. Stage one went to Christopher Bell, who had led for looked like honestly the fastest car in stage one. Hamlin had worked his way up though by that point. Then had the stage one break, had the speeding penalty, and had to work his way back. So there was a lot of kind of impressive. I felt like the top 10 stayed pretty stagnant throughout the race. There were some comers and goers in that sense, but realistically, Hamlin, Elliott, Byron, Bell, Gibbs, Busher, Larson, not Briscoe, but Wallace and Keselowski. Not really Keselowski either, but Wallace was definitely your top 10 for the majority of the day. Tyler Reddick was up there for the majority of the day, fell back into 13th. So it really was kind of whoever had that track position tended to maintain that track position throughout the race, unless there was a mistake on pit road, like you saw with Ty Gibbs. He was able to get back up into a fifth place. So continuing, Ty Gibbs, what fourth, and fifth now since I called him a lazy bum on my thumbnail. So shout out Ty Gibbs for just proving me wrong right there. Ryan Blaney was another driver who was in the top 10, started in the top 10, sixth place, and was hanging out there all day long. And then he had a pit road issue that was on him. He just missed the pit road. And it also happened to be a terrible timing where he was the first one to go down pit road and there was a caution that came out. So he ended up just getting absolutely screwed over and just didn't quite have the car that we saw like last week where he was just flying through the field. He still had a good car, definitely a top 10 car, but he just didn't have that same pace that we saw last week, of course, and at races last season. So maybe the 550 horsepower, mile and a half isn't necessarily something that we should rely on Blaney to be fast at. I remember him having a really good race at Homestead this race last year. So I thought maybe that. But also, Las Vegas is kind of one of those cursed tracks for Ryan Blaney. So I'm not really too surprised that something befell him. But yeah, still bummer day for him. I had him on my Fast Five team, so I was definitely bummed out about that. Regardless, finishes 16th. If I didn't mention Zane Smith, I got to give a shout out to in 14th place with his finish there. He was right around the top 10 all day long, ended up in the 14th place position. Austin Dillon also with his 12th place. Ryan Preece hung around the top 10 all day long. Chinnery says good for Denny, needed it. Yeah, and let me circle back to that because it is a very big win. Obviously, it's no secret what Denny has gone through over the past couple of months, and to be able to come in here, race 4, and get his first win of the season to put himself 10th all time in the wins list is most certainly just really great to see. You could see the emotion on his face, the emotion on his kid's face, his mom's face. It was, just truly a family moment, as Denny described it in his interview. So definitely cannot. I'm used to not caring for the Denny Hamlin wins, but I'm letting them fly. We know, like, as sad as it is to say, we don't know how many more he has left, so he can continue to add to that. Harvick seems to think he's going to get into the 70s, so we'll have to see about that. But definitely a good win. And now what, the fourth, or wait, we're on race 5, aren't we? Yeah, we're on race 5. The fourth Toyota win of the season, though. So Toyota's clearly taking, I know 3 of those are Tyler Reddick, but still, Toyota's taking a pretty strong charge. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the top 10. They had a lot of their cars. I mean, Chase Briscoe, I kind of glossed over his day. I mean, Chase Briscoe, I was ready to come on here and talk about how it's looking ugly in the 19 camp, right? He's running bottom outside the top 30, I think, a lap down. He had the speeding penalty that messed up Ty Gibbs and Denny Hamlin's day, but got a lucky break with that caution that screwed over Ryan Blaney. It actually got Chase Briscoe the lucky dog. He was able to work his way up through the field and finish 8th. And only wonder, you see the speed that his teammates had. What if everything didn't go wrong for Chase Briscoe, started in the 18th position and never really able to get on the right side of the 8 ball until the end? Maybe that 19 had something to say when this race would have been all said and done. So that's a really good win. Didn't get the stage points that you need to kind of maintain pace, or he got enough to maintain pace. He didn't get stage points, but like somebody like a Ryan Blaney who finished 16th, which is not necessarily who he's chasing, I guess. But think about Ryan Preece, who's in the top 10 all day, finishes 11th. Okay, you got a little extra points on the finish, but Ryan Preece makes that up by getting the 10th or 9th place that he would have gotten in stage 2 and stage 1. So that's the real points game of it. That kind of screws Chase Briscoe over, but it's like that's the beauty of the points, the stage points, at least, maybe not the stage breaks, is that you have to show up week in and week out and throughout the race. But still waiting on NASCAR to update their standings. We can continue to talk through. That looks like they may have updated, but we should go back through the results. Really an uneventful race, though, and I think Papa Scored said it best. Like, when you saw that there was passing, it wasn't like there was no passing, but excuse me, I needed that water. Um, there was passing. I wouldn't argue that there wasn't, but it wasn't very fluent. Like, there was a really good sequence in stage 2, I believe, where you had Chase Elliott up there. Obviously, I remember that, but I think Hamlin or Bell was the one on the outside. Larson was there, Byron was there, and they all kind of bunched up together. And of course, Byron pushes Larson. You could tell there's actually a split second. You could tell he was looking to see if he could pull a little Carson Hocevar and make it 4 wide. He didn't do that. He pushed his teammate Larson out to the lead, and that's that kind of. But once that stuck, it stuck. Like, the restarts were your best chance at getting past the leader, because once that leader got that clean air, there was going to have to be there needed to be tire fall off, right? Like, there needed to be something to even out the field, maybe second place. And that is something that we'll be looking forward to at Darlington, is there's supposed to be a lot of tire fall off. So even if the leader jumps out to a 2-second lead, he might be using up his stuff a little too much. And then we have to worry about what second and third have been doing. Have they been saving their tires? Who comes up from the middle of the field, because they know how to manage their tires very well. So that is that. But Also, a little drama on pit road. Henry says a solid 7 out of 10 race. I don't know if I would give it a 7. I would probably lean 6 to 5. Um, I would say 6 because I feel like it did all it needed to do to like get a passing grade from me. But also it kind of did fall a little short. Maybe if Chase Elliott would have won, I would have been a little more positive about it. But I would put it at like a 5.5 if I'm being really strict and honest. Like I don't think it was a bad race per se, but I do feel like seeing all this push for upping the horsepower at mile and a half, I don't know how that if that fixes it or not. Excuse me, but seeing that, it does make me like, all right, we really like this package at tracks like Charlotte and um, what's another track that uh, we like this. I know we definitely like this package at Charlotte, and Kansas would be another really good example. But Vegas seems like the last two times have been really just rocket ship Denny Hamlin and not necessarily the most exciting racing, but uh, yeah, I mean, it was just kinda like the people who had the fastest cars pretty well qualified in the front and hung out up front, and so long as they didn't have any issues, which some did. Shout out Brad Keselowski coming from 28th starting position all the way up to 10th. That's another example of a day that, like, yeah, Keselowski got a 10th place finish, which is good. He's not in as dire of a point situation as Chase Briscoe is right now. So he's not necessarily chasing to get into the chase, but somebody like a Ryan Priest, who just his teammate finished right behind him in 11th. He had an 8th place finish in a stage. He was in top 10 all day long. So he obviously gets more points than that of Keselowski, who had to fight his way to the front all day long. Jenner says, almost like Charlotte is benefiting from a night race and fall Kansas is good because it's cold. That's a great point. It's not very cold in Las Vegas. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's definitely very nice out there, and that definitely does play an effect. I think the cooler temperatures make for more entertaining racing. I think that's kind of a proven fact at this point, and we obviously did not get that in Las Vegas. I think that might be why they tried the 4:30 start time. Well, I guess not really because over there, what is it like? They on Pacific time, so they're still starting at like 1:30 over there. But yeah, no, that's a good point. If only we could figure out a way to work that in, or make it to where it doesn't have to be cold for fun racing at the mile and a halves. But we had 2 Charlottes this year, so we do get to see what Charlotte looks like in the daytime. So that'll be fun for sure. But going back to these results here, kind of filing through, I mentioned Brad Keselowski. Dylan had a good day around the top 15, and that's where he finished. Ross Chastain. I was going to say the drama. Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez kind of getting into it. Ross kind of looking like Suarez came up to Chastain's car. I have no idea what happened. I can maybe search Twitter to see if anybody has anything to say about it. But scrolling through. Okay, here we go. I do have a video of it, and I think I can share my screen so you all can see. Let me try to do that really quick. Let's open up a window. All right, you're looking through the lens of the Slide Job Podcast X. But here is the post race little altercation here. Suarez just immediately comes to the one. Oh, I might want to show it on stream. Good one, Colton. There you go. You guys can see it now. So Suarez just literally walked over. Also, what a burnout from Denny, by the way. That was one hell of a burnout. He let the whole crowd get a taste of that smoke. But anywho, here comes Daniel Suarez. Trackhouse guys are already kind of marking it. Like they see what's going on. He's just standing there. Just wants to talk. I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him. Seems like a very calm Daniel Suarez. So I wonder what he said to get Chastain heated. Of course, we can't see Chastain from this angle. Just kind of talking to him, it looks like. Does he? Hopefully they come in frame when they. Yeah. See, then Chastain just starts shoving him, and this lady just steps in, acting like Suarez is the problem here. Suarez got his hands behind his back, probably instigating. Suarez is kind of on an instigation trip this season. Would like to see a different angle of that potentially. Eric Estep, as you can see here, said hopefully we can figure out what led to this. I rewatched the last 10 laps from their onboards, and it didn't look like there was any contact or shenanigans, maybe something before. Looks like there was some kind of disagreement, blah, blah, blah. Suarez can over discuss. Talked for a moment. Ross put hands on Suarez briefly before they were separated. Yeah, it looked like to me that Ross kind of started the physical portion of it, and it didn't look like, but we have no idea what Suarez is saying. He could be, making fun of his watermelons or something and getting them all heated. So, like, I understand that. But yeah, interesting, very interesting. We'll see if anything comes out of it. I'm sure there'll be some interviews or something that will be had on that. But back down through the field, Austin Cindric in 19th, Eric Jones in 20th, rounding out your top 20, pretty much where they hung out for most of the day. Cindric did have a stretch where he was running top 10, but just like Blaine, just had bad fortune befall him. Carson Hocevar, absolutely nothing on him for me. Like, I do not recall anything from Hocevar this race. Seemed a very quiet race out of Hocevar, uncharacteristically. Chinnery said Ross hit Suarez after the race was over. I don't know what caused it before that. So you're saying like he hit him before they like came down pit road. Ross hit Suarez, so Suarez likely came over to be like, "Hey, why the hell did you hit me?" Seems kind of valid to me. But it looks like Ross just wanted to give him a little shove. Daniel Suarez is honestly high key on his villain arc right now, for being honest. But Riley Herbst, top 25. Now that is some flashes from Riley Herbst. Got to love it. Gotta love it. The Flash Man, Riley Herbst, 23rd. Justin Allgaier, 25th. No factor all day long. SVG wrecked on like the first or second lap, and we was not heard from again. Maybe he hasn't figured out the ovals yet. Still figuring out those bigger ones. But Zilich, kind of somebody that I kind of want to talk about within the next couple weeks if he keeps this up. It's not looking too hot. 32nd place, no factor from Zilich. Still fair. He's a rookie. It's gonna take time. Suarez knows he's one and done at Spire, and I don't give a F mode this season. Seems like it. It's honestly for the betterment of his racing, I think. 18th isn't obviously great, but I think a top 20 is a good finish in the second car. So no, that's totally valid. Not really. Josh Berry, the defending champ, started 32nd, finished 31st. Nothing from him all race long. 21 cars hasn't had the best start to the season. So don't know what happened there from the night and day difference of winning the race last year. Pretty well on speed. I know a little bit of strategy, but on speed and talent, just not even a factor at all today. Just a bummer to see. That's really it. Looking at the results, I don't think there was much else. Again, shout out Ty Gibbs for his 5th place finish. Can't argue against that. Papa Scourge said from what I see on Twitter, sounds like Suarez ran Ross into the wall off of turn 2 with 10-ish laps left. Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously something would have had to have happened on the track for Ross to want to hit Suarez under the caution or the end laps. So, yeah, I'd like to see that clip. I'd like to see it. I would assume Ross and Suarez have some, interviews coming up. Like somebody's going to have to pop the question, I would assume. But we'll just have to wait and see if anything comes out about that. HMS is slowly proving the 48 is not a driver issue. Yeah, I would venture to say that it's definitely not looking hot in that 48 car. But I question, is Justin Allgaier the best measuring stick? It was Anthony Alfredo. I don't know, but I think we can all pretty well agree that the 48 car is in a terrible spot right now. But let's go ahead and move along to our standings here. The new well, there is no new leader. Tyler Reddick still holds a very, very strong lead in first place, currently 61 points ahead of his teammate, Bubba Wallace, who has moved his way back into second place in the point standings after a great top 10 day. I think, yeah, Bubba Wallace has the most stage points of any driver in the Cup Series right now, which is something he kind of got really good at last season, where he had a lot of stage points and was doing so well because of that. And he didn't necessarily. I mean, did he finish top 10? I think he did sneak up into ninth. Yeah, he got up into ninth. So definitely, ninth place finish isn't like something that knocks you out of the park, but adding in his top 5, I think, in stage 1 or 2 and whatnot, and just a consistent stage points gathering has him second place in the points right now by about 6 points. Blaney, your winner last week, fell a bit with his 16th place finish. He's still just in third place. Hamlin, with his win, jumps up. According to this doesn't seem right because it has Blaney going up a position. I think that's supposed to be on Bubba. And then it has Hamlin going up 19 spots. I thought he was like sitting 12th or something last season or last week. So take it with a grain of salt, but allegedly Hamlin jumped 19 spots. He's up into fourth place with his win. That's the beauty of how much points you're awarded for winning a race. So kudos to Hamlin. Congrats on the win again. And Chase Elliott, your second place finisher, actually drops down to fifth place in the point standings. He was like right around that top 10, fringe top 10 area for most of the day. So he maybe got like a stage point or two, but really came on in the second half of the race and found his way into a second place finish. So actually kind of surprising he dropped down 2 spots. I just think this is wrong. I think he was in fourth place, so Hamlin just surpassed him. Maybe if I had a refresh, maybe it'll actually give me the correct information. Not yet. Because, yeah, Christopher Bell, I don't think just jumped up 18 spots either. So I apologize for trying to believe NASCAR's website. I do think the points are correct, though. So Bell is in sixth place now with 164 points. Larson in seventh. William Byron in eighth. Chris Buescher jumps up to ninth. Ty Gibbs rounds out the top 10 of your point standings. Joey Logano in 11th. He actually drops down quite a few spots. He was really a non-factor all day, which is kind of surprising. He typically does well in the Pennzoil 400. That's not rigged. Brad Keselowski, in the 12th place. Like I said, he's not like trying to chase a top 16. He's in the top 16 right now. He's safe. He's just trying to maintain that. And by working his way into 10th, he does that. If he can get some more stage points, that'd be nice too. His teammate, Ryan Preece, jumped up a couple spots into the 13th spot. All 3 RFK cars currently in the points or in the top 16. I think they're the only team that, it looks like they're the only team that currently has all of their cars in the okay, well, no, because Riley Herbst isn't. So yeah, RFK is the only team that has all of their cars in the playoffs or in the chase. Sorry to bring back old memories, but yeah, what a great start for RFK. I want to see them compete for wins more often. It was a good start. Buescher was running that top 5 for a bit. I really want to see them compete for wins, but still just killing it with consistency to start the year. Can't complain about that at all. Super pumped to see their throwback cars next week and see what they have in store for us then. So rounding out the top 16, Spire Motorsports. Michael McDowell, Carson Hocevar didn't have a good week this week, but still find themselves top 16 in the point standings. SVG took the biggest hit. Yeah, I believe the minus 11 on next to his name. He falls to 16th in the point standings, tied with Daniel Suarez and AJ Allmendinger right now. So, yeah, not a good race for him. Darlington does go back to the package that we had at Phoenix that he did pretty well at Phoenix at. Maybe that will translate something for him. Maybe that package suits his style a little better. But regardless, a rough race for sure, finishing in last. So he's got to clean that up. But it happens to the best of them, I suppose. Zane Smith having a really great day today, but allegedly dropped some. He's in 19th in the point standing, so take that as you will. He sits about 9 points out of that 16 cutoff to tie, and really great start for the 38 team. Honestly, considering they finished 24th last season, so still on the up and up in the 38 camp. Keep that up, and who knows, you could sneak your way. I would easily see Suarez or Allmendinger maybe falling, especially Allmendinger with his lack of Chevy backing, thanks to colleague potentially moving to Dodge. Um, yeah, I could see Zane Smith sneaking his way in, or maybe a McDowell or somebody takes a tumble. SVG, he's going to get some wins, so you can't necessarily count on him. But Zane Smith just hanging out there around that top 20. That's where you need to be. Here is the problem: there are quite a few drivers that should be in that top 16 that are not at this point. Quite a few. Ross Chastain being one of them, 20th in the point standings. We talked about him and his altercation with Daniel Suarez. That came back in the 18th, 17th position for Chastain. So we know that one team is capable of doing better. Trackhouse, once again, looks like they haven't hit the nail on the head, so to speak, to start off this year, which is something that we saw happen last year. Really, outside of a Charlotte Coke 600 miracle-esque win, we didn't really see that much speed out of Trackhouse throughout the season. So kind of an alarming, I must say, an alarming look to start off the year this year. Because even SVG, he had a second place finish at Coda, but he even said that like the car was shit. Basically, he didn't say that out loud, but that's kind of what he was hinting at. But another driver, we mentioned him and his big comeback today, Chase Briscoe, 26th in the point standings. Yes, he does go up because of this top 10 today, but he had finished last week and the week before that. He did get second at Echo Park Speedway, but he also finished damn near last in the Daytona 500. So kind of a sophomore slump for Briscoe. I don't doubt that it's really anything with him. It's kind of just wrong place, wrong time in some races, some issues, part failures. So I don't. It's just something that, especially with this new format, you don't want to dig yourself a hole. But we're going to Darlington, one of his better tracks. What better way to put him back on the map than a win at Darlington? I'm keeping an eye out on that 19 this week. I'll tell you that right now. Somebody else who apparently has been showing flashes, but I don't know if he has been, Ben, because 30th place in the point standings, Austin Cindric, yet to get a top 10 this year. Did have a really good day at Phoenix until it got ruined, but Papa Scorch, yeah, I agree with you on this one. Briscoe's gotten so unlucky this season. He should be up there. I agree. 26th in the point standings to this point. You know Briscoe, you know that 19 is better than that, but stuff like starting in 18th puts him behind the 8 ball. The 11 and the 54 had the same issues he did, but it took him a lot longer to recover from that than they did, likely because of his track position. Briscoe, not Bristol. Did I say Bristol? Did I actually say Bristol? Oops. Regardless, Bristol or Briscoe will have a really good shot. Eric Jones is somebody who had a pretty solid day around the top 20, but you got to keep an eye. Him and Nemechek are going to be really fast at Darlington. I'm really curious where they'll land in the Fast Five, what groups they'll be in, because obviously I've been sticking with the legacy guys pretty well throughout the season. I'd love to try and get them both this week because they have definitely shown speed. Um, oh, sorry, Chenry. I just saw the Briscoe, not Bristol, and I didn't see what was above. My bad. Notice Ty Gibbs is doing better, and Briscoe is doing worse. Hard to keep 4 competitive cars. Something to keep an eye on. I do hear what you're saying, but the 19 was fast. He worked his way into the top 10. But I do hear your point there. That is definitely something to watch because you literally watched this happen with Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman has been showing flashes from the couch this season. He sure is. 36 in points. That's ugh. But I think the alarming thing is I know he's a rookie. I fully understand he's a rookie, but Connor Zilich, 35th in the point standings. 50 points on the year. Just 20, come on, Colton, you can do the math. 27 points ahead of Alex Bowman, who has missed what, 2 races, basically 2.5 races. I get it. He's younger than you or I. He's 20 years old or going to be this year. If he's 19, even crazier. Yeah, it's a lot of high expectations for Zilich. He's not quite meeting him yet. And I expected him to not be a top 16 driver. I thought it was going to be I thought it was going to come down to winning. Yeah, 19. Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. I know it was like 19, maybe going on to 20, or he had already reached 20. I forget. I heard it in like one of the documentaries or whatever, so I wasn't sure. But he is behind Cole Custer in the point standings. He is behind Cody Ware in the point standings, just by 2 points. But still, I think we all can agree we expected better out of Zilich. Part of it might be Trackhouse, just putting shit boxes out there, but I mean, his teammates, Ross Chastain and SVG, are way ahead. And I don't want to compare Zilich to his teammates. He is a 19-year-old rookie, right? Like, we can't necessarily compare him to that. But Riley Herbst is 23rd points right now, guys. The 35 might be showing flashes this season. It's looking really good in the 35 camp, honestly. 23rd in the points right now. That's above Chase Briscoe, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, Austin Cindric. I briefly touched on him. Todd Gilliland's a guy who's kind of worrying me a little bit. 31st in the point standings, really a non-factor all day. He just kind of has his tracks he's good at, I guess, though. And then the rest of the season is just kind of a toss and turn. Yeah, I still agree with this sentiment that Chenry brings up. I think he's still going to win on a road course this season. We saw the raw speed at Coda. I think he was the fastest car in the field. He just never was allowed to show that off. So I hate to dog on Zilich because obviously he's 19, right? Like, still so much more to go. Christopher Bell. Think about Christopher Bell in his first season. He was much older, don't get me wrong, but I remember the 95 being pretty much in the same spot that we find Connor Zilich in. So it's one of those things where we're not really weighing where he is in the point standings as his worth. It's how much better does he get around August, around September, when we're wrapping up the season. Do we look at like a Zane Smith season where that first season was ugly? The first half was a lot more uglier than the second half. So is that kind of the trajectory for Connor Zilich? I think so. I think we all can agree he's going to find his spot in this sport, but I really just didn't expect it to be this rough this early. So yeah, let me know. Like, am I crazy for saying that? Like, I think 35th. I think we all can agree that 35th is kind of crazy. But Josh Berry is also another one we got to mention, down in 32nd in the points. There's just a non-factor. It's so weird, the flip from Josh Berry. But it's also something that, like, all he has to do is rattle off a couple top 10s and he can pretty easily find himself in the top 25 in points or whatever, which isn't necessarily the bar I would set for the 21 team. But you can't really rely on that one win anymore to get into the playoffs. I think the 21 team should be a top 16 team, a chase team. Sorry, I keep on saying the playoffs. And 30 seconds just not really the spot that I would really be expecting for them. So still a lot of things that have to shake up. A lot of people that have to, find their footing in this season and work their way up the point standings, and vice versa, lose their footing this season and fall down the point standings. Remember, Brad Keselowski ended up like 18th in the point standings, and he was 31st or something up until like Mexico. So if you really start working, you can turn a corner. And I think Josh Berry, Connor Zilic are two people definitely to watch to turn that corner. Chenry says he can see Barry getting cut if the right free agent is out there. You also said William Byron took 4 years to be competitive and was 20 years old as a rookie. That's a great comparison there. I think really the comparisons between William Byron and Connor Zilic are pretty valid, both in personality and talent wise. What they showed in the Xfinity Series, they both were in the Xfinity Series at the time. So yeah, I can't really argue against that. I wouldn't say it took Byron 4 years to be competitive, right? I mean, I know he wasn't like, I don't know. Sometimes we can comparing William Byron's Hendrick startup to the expectations for Zilic at Trackhouse can be a little apples to oranges, but I do think when you look at the driver, definitely can draw some comparisons between the two. And then as for Barry getting cut, yeah, I mean, if you're running 32nd in the points, what's going to stop him from putting somebody else in there? You showed. I mean, Barry did show last year they got more in that equipment than meets the eye. We pretty well saw the same scenario play out with Matthew Benedetto in the 21 just a few years ago. So I do ask, who do you think takes that 21 job, Henry? What do you think? Looking around, is that where Suarez lands after maybe a resurgent season, or I'm just kind of looking through the field here. Is that where Kyle Busch lands? Like, does Kyle Busch take the 2 and Cindric move the 21? Like, does Zane Smith? Honestly, that would be an interesting one there. Zane Smith's having a pretty good season. If he gets the jump to the 21, I think that's an upgrade in equipment. Not necessarily. Apparently, Front Row is a tier 1 Ford partner, for what it's worth, but definitely like just going to Wood Brothers gets him a better spot. Is that where Lane? Ooh, Lane Riggs actually is probably the one, right? That's where he ends up landing. Lane, I think that could be Lane Riggs's job if Josh Berry doesn't turn it around very quickly. To be honest, let me know what you all think about that in the comments. Who do y'all think would replace him in the 21? I'm very curious to see what names come up with that. But yeah, that's my look through the point standings here. Obviously, so much things to kind of juggle that'll go ups and downs that we'll see, but definitely an interesting spot we find ourselves in right now with the point standings. And it's so fun because it actually matters, right? The top 16 make it to the chase, and you have to earn that. You don't just get that by winning. Henry says free agents will be Alex Bowman, Daniel Suarez, KFB, maybe a Jesse Loves. That would be a nice swoop up. Zane Smith, a lot of big names could be available. I like the direction of Jesse Love, Zane Smith, and I like Lane Riggs. I think Lane Riggs actually kind of it's like one of two things. Either they'll go Zane Smith and then Lane Riggs will get the 34 job or 38 job, sorry. Um, or they'll swoop up Lane Riggs. I could also see up the Jesse Love though. I could see it. I could see that. I just don't see Suarez. Sorry, I don't know about Bowman. I just don't know where he's at right now. What his free agent market looks like with all the injuries that pile up. Suarez, I kind of half see if he does really have a good season, but also I feel like if Suarez were to go there, it just wouldn't end up very well. Um, he just kind of has like an on year off year type kind of like Joey Logano just has like an on year off year type thing, and I feel like they typically no Josh Berry's not really young talent. I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see if anything develops out of that, but we'll definitely keep an eye on that throughout the season. I'm gonna go ahead and actually move along to our Xfinity. KFB would be like a stopgap guy. Yeah, but it's like if KFB gets the 21 and he's just a stopgap for who? Ford doesn't have an Xfinity program. They have Nick Sanchez, who I think is a good driver. And yeah, I agree with Papa. If Barry doesn't pick it up, Smith goes to 21, Riggs takes his spot. I think so. Or you can even argue maybe does this the year that Austin Cindric sitting 30th in the point standings and not being able to rely on a gateway or a super speedway win? Is this the year he finally gets the boot to the 21 and they put somebody there? And remember, where there's smoke, there's fire. And Lane Riggs was in talks. What team was it? It wasn't Penske, right? It wasn't Penske that like randomly we were getting Lane Riggs to Penske talks. Who was either them or Roush, right? Like, I think that's been there before, but I agree. I think you go with Zane Smith, the guy who's in the Cup Series, who's competing very well right now. You go with him in the 21 because the 21 just hasn't had a lot of luck with their drivers since Matt DiBenedetto, and even Matt DiBenedetto had a fall off in his second season. Yeah, and not even to mention the third legacy car that's opening up. The rumor is Jesse Love is going to get swooped up into that ride, but if Corey Heim's still on the table and 2311's shit with Riley Herbst running damn near top 20 in the points, they might keep him in that 35 justifiably. Oh god, that hurt to say. But so does Corey Heim end up in that third legacy car? I think that's Heim or Love's seat for sure. But I don't know. It's gonna be a fun silly season. We knew that going in though. That we didn't we didn't come into the season not knowing that it would be a pretty interesting silly season. So can't argue against that. If you all think of anything else, feel free to let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at these O'Reilly series results. I know Kyle Larson got the win. Herbert Herbst could be worked out of legacy, and Heim gets the 35. I mean that kind of makes sense because obviously Herbst is a pay driver. Like Monster will fully cover that check. So that's the kind of the best case scenario for Legacy's third team is somebody who is going to be able to fully fund that team so they can build up that team. And honestly, like I can't even argue that Riley Herbst hasn't had a good start to the 2025 season. That could easily change. Um, wait, the third legacy car is the I knew that. I knew that because I said that in the silly season predictions I made at the start of the season. Um, yeah. And that's why I thought Brad was going to retire and then give the 6 up to Ryan Preece. I mean, that's just another wrinkle in it. I don't even know where to go with that. We're gonna have to wait for more. We're gonna have to wait for Bob Pockers to come out with some more news on that or something. But Brad may have to take one for the team and retire from full time. Yeah, but Brad, I gotta give credit to Brad. He's having a really great start to the season. Like for especially with considering the off the track issues with the broken leg he had, and I remember on the Daytona full speed NASCAR documentary, he literally said like it's supposed to take months to recover, and it took him 8 weeks to get into here. Like when he said months, he meant like 6 months. So to see him recover from such an injury, literally getting cleared days before the Daytona 500, and come in and still got that hobble. He's not walking with the cane anymore apparently, but he's still got that hobble. Like I said, got a great top 10 day today. He's in the top 16 in the point standings. I don't know if Brad wants to take one for the team on that. Yeah, I think he wants to see it through. Does maybe one of the cars just drive uncharted throughout the whole season? I don't know if that's feasible. We saw the what happened with 2311 and Front Row when they were running without a charter. So it's not necessarily a viable option. Maybe it's more viable for one car as opposed to the entire team. but still, you're losing a lot of money there. Is there a charter available they can pick up, or rent? I don't know. I don't really know of any. The the only thing I can think of is if like front row looks to downsize because the 4 car is just the maybe they downsize the 2 and RFK gets the third one. I don't know. It's getting to a point where it's getting pretty tough to get a third charter. So we're gonna have to see how that all plays out. But again, I'm gonna go ahead and move along to the Xfinity Series race. Kyle Larson won it. He led only 47 laps. Chase Briscoe had a pretty fast car in the 19 as well. It was fun seeing those two Cup guys going at it in the Vegas Vegas race. I'll clean up this with Chenry. Maybe they try, at least Priest for a year. Maybe they at least Priest to like the 67 or not 67. Whatever the car is going to be for Legacy, which honestly should be the 44, but or 40. 44 would make more sense though, because it'd be 42, 43, 44. I'm a marketing genius like that. But yeah, shout out Kyle Larson for getting the win in the Xfinity Series race. And then Sheldon Creed got a nice third place finish. Justin Allgaier or the 21. That makes more sense because it's a forward thing. I agree with you on that, Chenry. Ryan Preece in the 21 would be a very nice pickup, honestly. I see Ryan Preece and Josh Berry as two similar drivers, but Ryan Preece has just performed better since he got that ride. So I think that would actually be a huge pickup for the 21 team. Allgaier ended up in 4th place. That was Ben's pick to get it. Me and Bull both went Larson on this one. Sammy Smith with a nice top 5. Corey Day, 8th place. Connor Zilich finished 7th in the 1. William Sawalich in 9th. Austin Hill in 10th. I'm actually so glad I didn't go with I'm so glad I didn't go with what's his name? Carson Quaffle, because he finished 11th. I forgot he wasn't in the 1. He is still in JRM equipment, but one thing I want to point out, Rajah Caruth's top 10 streak unfortunately came to an end. He's still driving for Jordan Anderson Racing, so like a 19th place finish isn't necessarily the end of the world. He's still got a pretty good spot in the point standings. Was a bummer to see that, though, because I know Vegas is one of his better tracks. Got his first career win there, or second. Maybe Nashville was his first. But yeah, just gotta shout out my boy Rajah Caruth, rooting for him. Carson Quapple in 11th, like I said. Parker Rutsaff with a good day in 12th. Brandon Jones 13th. Kyle Sieg in 14th. Daniel Dye in the 52. I have no idea what team that is. The Ford, whatever team that is. I didn't even know they had Ford outside of Nick Sanchez. But rough day for Nick Sanchez, who finished in the 38th position. Taylor Gray also 37th. Chandler Smith driving in the 5. Is that like the same team as Nick Sanchez in the 5? Like what's up with that? Sam Mayer had a great weekend at Phoenix, but finished 35th this weekend. Anthony Alfredo had a good week last week. He finished 34th. A couple of rough days being thrown out there. And if you look at the old standings here in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, Justin Allgaier has your lead. He's got a win on the year, of course, at Phoenix. 4 top 10s on the year. Really great start for the 7 camp. Chevy, I think, has dominated so far this year. Do they have every win? Let's take a look. Currently, Creed in a Ford won, but 1, 2, 3, 4 of the first 5 wins have gone to Chevy. So at least they're dominating. And Chevy did figure out, seemed like they found speed in their new body in the Cup Series. So I can't necessarily argue against that. But yeah, that's moving back though to the O'Reilly Auto Parts standings. Jesse Love with is second right there, just 13 points back of Allgaier. Still looking for that first win on this season, though. I'm sure that'll be coming soon. His teammate Austin Hill drops down to 3rd in the point standings. Obviously, he has his win. Sheldon Creed gets 4th in the point standings with his win. Carson Quapple rounds out. That's my champion pick for this year. Rounds out with a 5th place spot in the point standings. Sammy Smith, Corey Day. A lot has been said about Corey Day. Good Lord. Uh, both good and bad. 7th place in the point standings today. Was the oh yeah, the 88's obviously JR. For some reason I thought because he had the Hendrick Cars car, I was thinking he was driving for Hendrick. My bad. But Raja Caruth, 8th place in the point standings. Really, it looks an outlier here to me. Like running in Jordan Anderson Racing for a handful of these races to start off the year. 8th place in the point standings. That's really impressive, if you ask me. Keep it up, Raja. 3 top 10s on the year. Parker Retzlaff's also had a very impressive start to his season. 9th place in the point standings in that Viking Motorsports 9 that Matthew Mandetta was struggling in last season. So huge. I think that's still Viking Motorsports. I could be mistaken, but it does have the same 99 font. Shout out Parker. Sam Mayer is in 10th. Kind of a disappointing for him, but working his way up through the point standings. Another couple disappointing drivers, but they're still in the top 12, which is all you need to make it to the playoffs. Or gosh darn it, the chase. I hated the chase so much, but I can't stop saying it. The playoffs. Taylor Gray rounds out your top 12 though in the 54 after an ugly day. Sam Mayer and Taylor Gray, to be fair, both had bad days at Vegas, so they're kind of skewed down because of that. So they'll work their way back up. The gap between 11th and 8th is like 10, 15 points. So definitely can work their way back up the field. William Sawalich, a lot of positive talk about William Sawalich on the show. 15th in the point standings, definitely much better than his last season started, but not necessarily the speed I expect out of him so far. But we'll see if he turns that page here soon. And then other than that, LeVar Scott is kind of a guy I've been keeping an eye on in the 45, 24th in the point standings, just ahead of Brent Cruz, who is in just his 2nd race of the season because he wasn't allowed to, or I guess now 3rd race of the season. Let me look at the schedule. Yeah, because no, it'd have to be he started at the road course. So yeah, it's his 3rd race of the season, and already up to 25th in the point standings. Remember, he can't compete at the super speedway races because of his age. So 3 races in, 25th. He's got still quite a hole to dig himself out of if he wants to get into that top 12. I think he's probably going to have to win a race or two if he wants to do that. I think he's capable of doing that, but gotta start digging now because two races out, Henry, you can attest as a Bowman fan, not what you want to be at this point. And he's going to miss 2 more races, right? There's an Atlanta race, 3 more races. So not necessarily chasing a championship this year in the 19, but I like to see him try to work his way into the top 12. It's a fun storyline to follow, at least. And then the last guy I want to talk about here is Harrison Burton, who's finally kind of turning a corner here. 29th in the point standings. That's up 5 positions from where he was last week. So got to give him credit where credit is due. But still, like I said, a lot of work to be done. And Nick Sanchez, I'll point out too, 28th in the point standings. Not a good look for somebody I'm very high on in that 25 Ford Fusion. So that'll do it for the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. Let me go ahead, and I forgot to bring up the current point standings. I actually have this. I can just screen share it maybe. Oh, no, that's not going to work. But I teased it at the beginning of the show. I actually scored the most points this week, thank God, by 2. And very much thank you to Kyle Larson and his Xfinity performance and just being there in the O'Reilly series. But Ben still holds the lead with 211 points on the year so far. I inched 12 points back with 199 points. Bull, I don't know if you're watching or not. You got a little bit of work to do. 51 points back with 159 to this day. Plenty of time left in the season. If you can rattle off a couple wins, I feel like you can make up that gap very easily, Bull. But let's get to it. Chop, chop. And Chenry makes a great point that Brent Cruz turns 18 on March 30th. So then he will be able to compete at the super speedway races. That makes a lot more sense than what I was trying to say. So my apologies. He does miss a Dega race, right? Maybe not. Maybe that's in April. Yeah, that's right on the cut line. But yeah, I forgot about that. You know, some people do turn older throughout the season, so he will be able to compete those races and compete for a championship for sure. But yeah, I think that's really about all I got. Chat. Let me know if there's anything more you'd like for me to talk about. I had it for one person talking by themselves. I am kind of shocked that I have made it 57 minutes. But you know, you got me yapping about the whole 21 debacle and what may be going on there and the new charters. And I do enjoy that talks a lot. So if you guys have anything else you want me to talk about, let me know in the chat. Other than that, I may just go ahead and end up the stream. We got Darlington coming up next week. Very hyped for that. We'll have an episode out on Friday. Well done with the graphics that you should expect. I do want to apologize for the lesser production from last week for sure. And Chinry says, I don't know where Darlington falls on the scale of age limits. It's fine. I don't think you have to worry about Darlington. I think it's literally just the super speedways because of the nature of their racing. But yeah, so we'll be back on Friday. Ben should be able to make it this week. We might have to record on a different day, but sounds like Ben will make it this week. So we'll have all three back on the pod for the first time in a while. I'll be able to pause and take a break in between speaking, unlike today. So that'll be fun. But honestly, it was fun sitting in here by myself with you guys in the chat. So I definitely can't complain. You guys are a part of the stream as well. So no complaints there. But if you guys don't have anything else, I'm going to go ahead and he wasn't allowed at Vegas. I guess I didn't rattle off his name in the results. Huh. I didn't know that. That's weird. I didn't know Brent Cruz was not allowed to drive at Vegas, but I guess I should have noticed that. So just 2 races to his name, and he's currently 25th in the point standings. Yeah, duh. All right. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the episode. Chenry, Papa Scorch, thank you for hanging out in the chat tonight. Thank you everyone else who tuned in throughout the stream and after the stream. We'll see you guys next week again on Friday. So be sure to like, though, hit the subscribe button if you guys are new. Comment down below your guys' thoughts on this race. What did you think? And anything else we talked about throughout the course of this episode. I am going to go get me a water, and I got to go fill out my March Madness bracket. So y'all have a wonderful rest of your night. Follow us on Twitter at SlideJobX. Follow me at LFC __99. And yeah, see you guys on Friday. Peace.